Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings for Monday, March the 13th. We have a 7-game slate for Monday, guys. Hope you guys all had a good weekend. Excited to talk through this 7-gamer. We're going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each one of these 7 games, kind of give you a quick breakdown of the slate, taking a first look on Sunday night. But as always, before we get started with the breakdown, if you guys do enjoy these DFS videos, if they help you out, make sure you hit that like button down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to the channel, if you've never heard of PrizePicks, never checked out PrizePicks before, they are the sponsor of this video. And you guys can actually sign up for PrizePicks. You can use my promo code Noah. When you sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. And if you don't know what PrizePicks is, they're a player prop site. A little bit, different than your traditional DFS site, like DraftKings and FanDuel and those sites. On DraftKings, FanDuel, you're building out your lineup, you're entering contests, you're competing against other players. That's not the case on PrizePicks. On PrizePicks, it's a player prop site, so you're just taking more or less on a player's projection. And you can see some of the projections that they already have posted for Monday's games. If there's anything that stands out to you, again, you just take more or less on a player's projection. It's as simple as that. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 6 picks. You can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. You can also mix and match sports. PrizePicks offers a ton of other sports outside of just NBA. They have MLB going on right now, spring training, the World Baseball Championship or World Baseball Classic, whatever's going on. They have that going on, soccer, CSGO, tennis, college basketball, just a ton of different stuff on PrizePicks. So give them a try, guys. Use that promo code Noah. When you sign up, get your first deposit matched up to $100. But let's go ahead and talk through this Monday slate, and we'll start off with the first game of the night, the Pacers and the Pistons. And this is by far the most appealing game on the slate, just in terms of for DFS purposes, because both these teams are very shorthanded. Both these teams have a lot of guys out. We'll start off on the Indiana side. So looking at the Pacers here, no Tyrese Halliburton, no Miles Turner, no T.J. McConnell, no Benedict Mathurin, and Buddy Hield is questionable. So there's going to be a lot to target here, a lot to like. If Buddy Hield winds up playing, he's going to look like a decent option. He's kind of expensive at $7,100, but obviously he would kind of have the team to himself, and he would really get just a ton of usage, a ton of opportunity. I have a feeling he's probably going to sit here. It seems like Indiana's kind of just like punting this season. They don't really think they're going to make the playoffs, I guess, or make the play-in, so they're just kind of like sitting their guys right now. I don't think Buddy Hield plays, but if he does, he's going to be a viable option at $7,100. But the guys that we're really going to be looking to here, Andrew Nembhard at $5K looks like one of the best plays on the slate. He played 33 minutes last game, had 34 DraftKings points. That was without McConnell, without Halliburton, without Turner, and now potentially without Hield as well. We can expect even more opportunity for Nembhard. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. He's way too cheap at $5K. He looks like a great value here. Aaron Naismith at $4,800 should play decent minutes. He only played 21 minutes last game, but I think he probably plays like mid to high 20s minutes. He's playable. Not my favorite value by any means, but he would be playable. Jalen Smith, I think, split the center minutes with Isaiah Jackson. He played 25 minutes, and I think Jackson played the other 23. Or they actually did play a little bit alongside each other, but Jackson did start at center in place of Miles Turner. I assume Jackson will start at center again. He's definitely one of my favorite values along with Nembhard. I think Nembhard and Jackson are my 2 favorite plays from Indiana, but we can look at some of these other guys like Jordan Nwora. He might pick up some more opportunity here. Maybe he winds up moving into the starting lineup if Buddy Hield's out. He's definitely going to be someone to consider. He's obviously a guy that we've seen throughout his career, especially when he was on Milwaukee, whenever there would be no Giannis, no Middleton, no Drew. Like Jordan Nwora could produce when those guys were off the floor. On this Indiana team, without Halliburton, without Turner, maybe without Hield, I expect Nwora to be productive when he's on the floor. So he's going to be a pretty good value here, especially if Hield is out. And then Chris Duarte did not have the best game last game, but he started, played 33 minutes. He shot 2 for 11, so just kind of a poor shooting game. Definitely like going back to him for value, even though he busted last slate. I think he still looks really good. So there's a lot to like from Indiana here. Very shorthanded. There's going to be multiple guys to target here. Definitely right now, my favorite plays from the Pacers are Nembhard and Jackson. But I think Duarte looks really good. If Buddy Hield gets ruled out and Jordan Nwora starts, I think he's a really good value. And then if you want to take some shots on Naismith, Jalen Smith, you could take some shots on those guys in GPPs. Don't think I'm really going to go to anyone else, though, on this team. O'Shea Brissett's a guy that has shown he can produce when he gets minutes. He played 19 minutes last game. He's kind of like a dart throw you could take a shot on if you want to go there. But let's move on to the other side of this game now with Detroit. And for the Pistons here, a lot of guys out for Detroit, too. No Jaden Ivey, no Marvin Bagley, no Bojan Bogdanovic, no Isaiah Stewart, and no Hamidou Diallo, no Alec Burks as well. So Looking at this Detroit team, I mean, the first guy that really, first few guys, I should say, that really stand out. For one, James Wiseman, 6K, should play a good amount here. He should split the center minutes with Jalen Duren. You might even see them play alongside each other a little bit since Bagley's out too. I think we're going to get at least like 25, 28 minutes from Wiseman. His price tag is 6K, so like at 6K, I don't think Wiseman is like this glaring option, but I still think he's in play and is firmly someone you could go to. Definitely favorite play, though, from Detroit's Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes last game just had a great role, played 37 minutes, great usage, took 17 shots, had 13 assists. The ball was in his hands a ton. Price tag at $5,700 is still fairly low for a guy that's going to play 35, 36 minutes and have the ball in his hands a ton. He's going to be one of the lead usage guys, going to take a lot of the shots. So really like Killian Hayes. I think he's a strong play. Isaiah Livers, not a guy that I really ever get excited to roster, but he played 38 minutes last game, took 20 shots. He's going to have plenty of opportunity here, and even at $5,300, I think Isaiah Livers is someone we can look to kind of as a value here. Corey Joseph should play a decent amount. He played 27 minutes last game. His price tag has come up to $5,100. I think at $5,100, I'm not as excited to roster Corey Joseph, but he is still a playable option. And then looking at some of the other Pistons, Jalen Duren going to probably split the center minutes with Marvin Bagley, or not Marvin Bagley, excuse me, with James Wiseman. So with him splitting the center minutes with Wiseman, don't know how much upside there is for Duren. Since he's come back from injury in the 2 games he's played, he's only played 21 and 20 minutes. I'd be surprised if he just plays like 30 minutes today. I think they're going to keep him kind of in the low 20s, which does limit his upside a little bit. But Duren has shown that when he gets minutes, he can produce. He had a double-double in only 20 minutes last game. So he's, kind of someone you could sprinkle in if you're playing a lot of lineups. And then the rest of Detroit, Omiori and McGruder, these guys, RJ Hampton, probably not going to go to these guys. Omiori played 26 minutes last game, but only had 16 Draftkings points. Not really the best permanent producer. Same could be said for McGruder. He's a really bad permanent producer. Not a guy that I get excited to roster. RJ Hampton, a pretty bad permanent producer as well. So if I'm looking to Detroit today, favorite play for sure is Killian Hayes. Then I think Isaiah Livers looks pretty appealing. I think James Wiseman looks pretty appealing. And then if you want to go to like Corey Joseph or Jalen Duren in GPPs, you could take some shots on those guys as well. But again, both these teams are going to be very shorthanded. Both these teams are going to be running some tight rotations here. So there's going to be a lot to like in this Indiana-Detroit game. Not many people, I don't think, are going to be watching this game, but I think there's going to be a lot of DFS players watching this game because you're going to have a lot invested here just with how much value there is from both sides of this one. But that'll do it for that game. Lots to like in that one, obviously. Let's move on to the next game, Utah and Miami. Not going to be nearly as much to like in this game. We'll start off on the Miami side. So for Miami today, no Kyle Lowry, I believe. He's questionable for this game. Kyle Lowry is questionable, so he did return last game, and he did play 36 minutes, which I thought that was. I didn't think he played that much, but I guess he played a good amount off the bench. I think they did bring him off the bench that game. Played 36 minutes though. I don't think Lowry's going to really be playable today. I have a feeling there's better value available. And with Lowry back, assuming he does play, that's going to take away from guys like Butler and Bam and Tyler Hero. It's a pretty good spot for Bam. We've seen Utah give up some big games to centers this season. Bam's kind of been all over the place, like with his production. He'll have a huge game, then he'll have like 3 bad games, then he'll have a huge game. This feels like a spot for him to put up a big game. He put up over 50 Draftkings points against Utah earlier this season. So if I had to play anyone on Miami, I think Bam would be my favorite play. Probably Jimmy Butler next. Butler's been really good lately, been super consistent, been flashing a lot of upside as well, playing huge minutes on a nightly basis. Again, he's fine, but I think, assuming Lowry plays, that does cut into Butler's upside a little bit. Hero, I'll probably pass on here. The rest of Miami, I'm not super interested in either. Honestly, don't love much for Miami, but if you want to go to Butler or Bam, it's fine. Lowry as a value, maybe you could go to. The fact that he played 36 minutes in his first game back from injury is definitely a positive sign. Shows that he can play full minutes here if he needs to. But that'll do it for the Miami side. Now let's talk about Utah. So for the Jazz here, don't love this spot for Utah going up against Miami. Lauri Markkanen's kind of at his full price right now, $9,900. At $9,900, especially in this spot, I'll just pass on Lauri Markkanen. I don't see a ton of interest in going to him at that price tag. Jordan Clarkson is questionable for this game, so keep an eye on this injury. If Clarkson does sit, obviously Lauri gets a little bit of a boost, but I don't think he would get enough of a boost to where I'd want to pay nearly $10K for him. It's a really tough matchup for Walker Kessler. Don't love the spot for him. THT would be the guy that would really benefit without Jordan Clarkson, but I think he's kind of reached his max price of $7K. He has been really good, though, the last few games without Clarkson. 38 DK points. Last game, 63 DK points against Charlotte. Nearly had a triple-double. THT is a really good perimeter producer, especially when he's the guy with the ball in his hands. And right now, he's kind of the primary point guard without Clarkson. You could go to THT if Clarkson's out, but wouldn't be a priority for me. Really, nothing else on Utah looks super appealing. So that's kind of it. There's really not too much to like in this game. So let's move on to the next one, Memphis and Dallas. So looking at Dallas today, there's going to be some news to keep an eye on here. So already we know that Luka is not going to play in this game, and then Kyrie Irving is questionable. Obviously, if Kyrie Irving plays, we can expect him to have a really, really big role. We can expect him to play really big minutes. His usage would be great. The price tag, DraftKings actually did adjust his price tag. He's $10,500. I don't think Kyrie would be just like a slam dunk at $10,500, but I definitely think he would still be a strong pay-up option, assuming he's able to play. If he doesn't play, we can expect really big roles for Tim Hardaway Jr., for Josh Green, for Jaden Hardy. Tim Hardaway Jr. had a really good game last game without Kyrie and without Luka. 36 minutes, 38 DraftKings points. Price tag came up to $6,400, but I still think THJ would be pretty solid if Kyrie's out. I think the same could be said for Josh Green. Josh Green had a really big game last game, played 34 minutes, had 41 DK points. He should be a big beneficiary if there's no Kyrie. And then Jaden Hardy started at point guard last game and was productive, played 37 minutes, had 31 DraftKings points. If Kyrie's out, Hardy's going to be a really good value play. He has shown that when he gets minutes, he can produce. And obviously, without Luka, without Kyrie, there's going to be a lot of minutes available, and there's going to be a lot of usage available too. So those three guys I like quite a bit if Kyrie's out. If Kyrie plays, I don't have as much interest in really any of them. They wouldn't look nearly as appealing. And the rest of Dallas, I'm pretty much going to pass on here. So it's just kind of like a wait and see. If Kyrie's in or out. If Kyrie plays, I think he's definitely in play. If he's out, those three guys that we just mentioned, I think all look pretty solid. Christian Wood, you would think without Luka and potentially without Kyrie too, that Christian Wood would pick up a big role, but he's just not really playing much right now. He played 15 minutes last game, only had 17 DraftKings points. Not really sure what to do with Christian Wood at this point. I mean, it seems like he's just kind of like they're going to just keep bringing him off the bench and playing him like mid-20 or mid-teens, low 20s minutes. So, yeah, not super interested in Christian Wood. Let's talk about the Memphis side now. And for Memphis, we kind of know, no John Morant, no Steven Adams for the Grizzlies right now. So we can expect more opportunity for guys like Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, Tyus Jones. But DraftKings, they've kind of adjusted these price tags to where none of these guys are like glaring options. Jaren Jackson Jr. is $8,500. That feels like an appropriate price tag for him. Obviously, he picks up more usage here without John Morant, but at $8,500, I think he's priced correctly. I think Bane's priced correctly at $8,400. Tyus Jones is $7,300 now. That feels like an appropriate price tag too. I think of all the Memphis guys, he would probably be my favorite, just because I think he does have enough upside to pay off that price tag. But then like Xavier Tillman, obviously been playing a lot without Steven Adams and without Brandon Clark, but $5,900, he feels priced to where he should be. Dylan Brooks has kind of been all over the place lately, but he has flashed somewhat of a ceiling, somewhat of some upside lately. 34 minutes in back-to-back games, did have over 30 DraftKings points against Golden State. Dylan Brooks is not a guy that's very fun to roster. He's a very inefficient shooter. He's just not the greatest per-minute producer, but he's going to take shots when he's on the floor. Even if he's not really making shots, he's just going to keep shooting. So there's some upside for Dylan Brooks at $4,900. But again, on this slate with other value plays available, he would definitely be more towards the bottom of my list, I think. And that's really it for Memphis. Nothing else really appealing on the Memphis side. So let's move on to the next game, Minnesota and Atlanta. So for Atlanta today, Atlanta's pretty much fully healthy outside of Bogdan Bogdanovic, who's questionable for this game. If Bogdan sits, I don't think that makes like a huge impact on really anyone. So we'll start off at the top with Trae Young. Don't love the spot for Trae Young going up against Minnesota. Minnesota has a really good wing defender in Jaden McDaniels, who I assume is probably going to guard Trae Young here. So I think like the one-on-one individual matchup with McDaniels is not great. But Trae's going to have a big role. He's going to play big minutes. This should be a pretty fast-paced, high-scoring game. So there's definitely upside for Trae here. And Trae has shown more of a ceiling lately. Finally reached 60 DK points last game against Boston. And I want to say that was like the first time in how long? Like last time Trae had 60 DK points was February 9th. It's been over a month since he reached 60 DK points. So finally getting that ceiling from Trae looks good. Pace of this game should be great. Game environment should be great. Don't love the one-on-one matchup, but I think Trae is still viable here. I think DeJounte Murray 8,300 is fine too, but I'd probably rather go to Trae between those two. Clint Capella, just not a guy that I'm super interested in. His minutes have kind of been all over the place. Some nights he'll play like 30-plus minutes, and then some nights he'll play like 25. It's just really tough to tell. Don't love the matchup with Gobert either, so Probably going to pass on Capella today. Probably going to pass on the rest of Atlanta. I think the one guy that kind of looks appealing for value is John Collins. We've seen John Collins' minutes really start to tick up. Last 3 games, 29, 28, and 30 minutes. He's 4,500, so he's not like that expensive. His per minute production has not been like great. I mean, he's only been averaging like 0.8 fantasy points per minute. But if he's going to continue to play like 30 minutes a night, I think at 4,500, John Collins is someone we can consider for value today. But again, kind of what I just said earlier, there's a lot of value. There's a lot of good value on the slate. I think Collins would be more towards the bottom of my list, but he's still in play if you want to go there. But that's really it for Atlanta. Nothing else looks great on Atlanta. So let's talk about the Minnesota side now. For Minnesota, I think it's a really good spot for Anthony Edwards, 9,200. Atlanta has DeAndre Hunter, who's a strong defender, but Anthony Edwards has shown that he can produce even in tough matchups. His usage is going to be great. His usage has been great whenever, without Karl-Anthony Towns, without D'Angelo Russell. The offense is going to run through Anthony Edwards. He's going to play massive minutes here. At 9,200, I think he is firmly in play today. Definitely interested in Ant. Rudy Gobert at 7,900 is questionable. We'll have to keep an eye on his status. This is really important. I think this is no, it's not a back-to-back. I thought Minnesota played Sunday, but they didn't. It's not a back-to-back, so we'll have to see if Gobert plays. He played 42 minutes last game in the recent game against Brooklyn. That was an overtime game. If Gobert is in, I think at 7,900, he is kind of priced where he should be, but we've seen a little bit of a ceiling from Gobert lately. 59 DK points against Brooklyn last game, 51 against the Lakers. He's got that kind of upside, but you're kind of paying the premium for Gobert right now. Not a priority by any means. Obviously, if Gobert gets ruled out, Naz Reid is going to be pretty much a free square. He would be like the best value play on the slate. I would lock him into every single lineup I made. He would be a top option if Gobert did get ruled out. And the rest of Minnesota, don't really like too much else here. Kyle Anderson, if Gobert gets ruled out, does get a little bit of a boost. We've seen Anderson flash some upside lately. Had 43 DK points last game against Brooklyn. But again, he's 6,100 now. So at 6,100, not in love with Kyle Anderson. Not really in love with anyone else on Minnesota. So that'll do it for that game. Let's move on to the next one, Boston and Houston. So for Houston today, really tough spot here for the Rockets. They're playing at home, so hopefully they can keep this game competitive. But it's a tough matchup against the Celtics, who are one of the best defensive teams in the league. I don't see myself really rostering too much on Houston here. Sengun is probable, so he's expected to play. Don't love this matchup against the Celtics. Production from Sengun has also been a little bit down lately. His minutes have also been not been super high. This game has blowout risk. I really don't see myself rostering many Rockets today. It's just not a spot I really want to be invested in. On the other side, though, with the Celtics, it's a different story because it's a great matchup for the Celtics. Obviously, Houston's a bad defensive team. Houston hasn't been playing at as fast of a pace this season, but they're still a bad defensive team. So it's a great matchup for Tatum. It's a great matchup for Jaylen Brown. Tatum, I think, is a really strong pay-up option today. He's not a guy that I really go out of my way to play. He's not a guy I tend to pay up for often. But on this slate, I definitely think Tatum is one of the top spins. He should crush here against Houston. They don't really have anyone to guard him one-on-one, so great spot for Tatum. If you want to go to Jaylen Brown too, I think Jaylen Brown is firmly in play. I would probably avoid playing those two guys together. And then the rest of Boston, I want to like some of these other guys just because the matchup is so good. But, Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, their upside is just, it's not as high when they're playing with Tatum and with Brown. You see those guys have good games whenever one of the two is out. Whenever both Brown and Tatum are healthy, I don't really ever roster White, Brogdon, or Smart. But again, the matchup is so good that you could mix these guys into your player pool. Robert Williams, I think, is still going to be out for this game. He should be out for this game. So Horford should continue to start at center. Horford's production's been better lately. Without Robert Williams, his minutes have been pretty good as well. At 5,600, I think Horford's fine. He's not a priority play, but he's definitely fine. That's really it, though, for the Celtics. Clearly, the best two plays here are Tatum and Brown, and those are two guys I definitely have interest in a really, really good matchup. But let's move on to the next game, Phoenix and Golden State. So we're Golden State today. Still no Andrew Wiggins, and I think Draymond Green is probable. He's probable. He's expected to play. And then Jonathan Kuminga is questionable. So I have to keep an eye on Kuminga's status. Don't think it makes a ton of impact, but maybe they would open up more minutes for Kevon Looney, for Dante DiVincenzo, maybe Jordan Poole as well. But looking at Golden State, we'll start off at the top with Steph Curry. Steph Curry at 10,400, I think is a fine pay-up option here. Matchup against Phoenix, I think's fine. Phoenix doesn't really have any elite on-ball defenders. They traded away Mikal Bridges, who's one of their best defenders. So I think it's a pretty solid matchup for Steph. It's a good game, I think. I think this should be a pretty fast-paced, high-scoring game against the Suns. It should be a competitive game as well. Golden State has been playing really well at home this year, especially as of late, and we've seen Steph have a lot of big games at home this season. So I think he's firmly in play. Not a priority on the slate, but I think he's definitely viable. Probably would rather go to Tatum, though, if I had to choose between one of those two guys to pay up for. Klay Thompson at 7,600. I'm not as interested in now that Steph is full strength. They still have Poole as well. Klay and Poole, like the rest of these Golden State guys just don't look that appealing. With Steph now fully healthy, playing full minutes. Dante DiVincenzo was pretty good in their last game against Milwaukee. Shot the ball really well, but again, at 5,900, he feels like he's appropriately price tag. I don't want to chase that last game. He just, it was a really, I want to say it was an outlier game. He shot 7 for 16, 6 for 12 from 3. He had 10 rebounds. Just not a game you would expect him to, have again here. Honestly, if I had to play anyone on Golden State besides Steph, I think Draymond would be the next guy that I would look to. We see Draymond get up for these big games against like the big-time opponents, like the Milwaukee matchup. I think this is a national TV game, so it's a big-time game against Phoenix. You would assume Draymond plays full minutes here, even though he did hurt his ankle last game. Seems like he's fine for this one. He was able to play through the injury. He's probable, so he should go. Draymond's fine. We know he can stuff the stat sheet, can do a little bit of everything when he's on the floor. He's firmly in play. Probably my second favorite play on Golden State behind Steph. And that's really it for the Warriors. I don't really see too much else to like here. Kevon Looney, maybe if he starts again, you could go there. He played 36 minutes last game, but we've seen like even when Looney starts, his minutes are not secure by any means. They could play him 20, 25 minutes. They could go small, play Draymond at the 5. But Looney did crush last game in 36 minutes, was really aggressive on the boards. And, he can have those type of games. He's a good permanent producer. It's just that the minutes are really always tough to predict when it comes to a guy like Kevon Looney. I think if Jonathan Kuminga got ruled out again, that would definitely make me feel a little bit better about Looney. Let's move on to the Phoenix side now. So for Phoenix right now, we know there's going to be no Kevin Durant. And without Kevin Durant, we can expect the offense to be really condensed and really concentrated around Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton. And in a pretty good matchup against Golden State in what should be a fast-paced, high-scoring game, I think all these guys offer some upside. Devin Booker's been having a lot of big games lately, 57, 60, 57. Like, he's had 50 Draftkings points in, 5 straight games. Even the games he's played with Kevin Durant, he was really good in. He was great in the OKC game, even in a blowout. He's just been playing at an elite level lately. The price tag is really getting up there now, but I still think Devin Booker's a pretty strong pay-up option here. Chris Paul has been great the last 2 games without Kevin Durant. He seems to be finding a groove now. 46 and 50 Draftkings points. Assist numbers are way up. Minutes are back to being pretty high as well. Big-time game here against a big-time opponent. National TV game. I think Chris Paul looks pretty good at 7,700, and I think DeAndre Ayton at 7,500 is a fine play as well. His production's been better lately without Kevin Durant. The Suns, they don't get a ton of offense from really any other guys on this roster, so you can expect a lot of opportunity for those main 3 guys. And the rest of Phoenix, it's just hard to get excited about anyone else. Josh Okogie, his minutes should be pretty secure without Kevin Durant, but his permanent production has not been great lately. His price tag is somewhat low, but again, like we said earlier, this is a slate where there's a lot of good value, and I think Okogie would be more towards the bottom of my list. And I'm not really going to any of these other guys from Phoenix. If you want to take a shot on like a Terrence Ross off the bench, you could. But when I'm looking to the Suns team, I'm looking at Booker, Paul, and Ayton as kind of the three best plays here. And if I had to rank them, I probably would say Paul's my favorite when you factor in price tag, then Booker, and then Ayton. But that'll do it for that game. Let's move on to the last game of the night, the Bucks and the Kings. We'll start off on the Sacramento side. Looking at Sacramento here, it's not the greatest matchup against Milwaukee, but we know Sacramento is going to play their main guys big minutes, and we know if this is a competitive game, we're going to get like 36, 40 minutes for Sabonis, for Fox. Those guys are definitely playable, but it's a tough matchup for Sabonis. Milwaukee's done a really good job limiting center production this season. Sabonis is a fine GBP play, but not a priority for me. Same could be said for De'Aaron Fox. Tough matchup against Drew Holiday. Don't love the spot for Fox, but his usage has been great lately. He's been playing big minutes. He's fine to go to in GPPs. And the rest of Sacramento, I feel like when it comes to guys like Herter, Barnes, Monk, Murray, you're just kind of throwing darts here. I think last game Herter played, 19 minutes, and then Malik Monk went nuts. He played 25 minutes, had 37 DK points. It's really hard to predict which one of these secondary guys is going to have a good game. So there's really no priorities coming from Sacramento today, just kind of like some GPP options. And then on the other side with Milwaukee, really the big news here is the status of Giannis. Giannis questionable for this game. I think he's been out for their last 2 or 3 games. If Giannis returns, I think he's pretty appealing at 11,900. I think it's a really good matchup. I think it's a good game environment. This should be a pretty fast-paced, high-scoring game, and it should be a competitive game as well. So if Giannis plays and he's not limited, I think he's a really good pay-up option. If Giannis is out, Then we can look to Drew Holiday, we can look to Chris Middleton, and the rest of these Milwaukee guys. We know that when Giannis is out, those are going to be the guys that really benefit. Now, DraftKings has adjusted the price tags. Middleton is $8,200, Drew's $8,900, Lopez is $7,400, Portis is $7,100. It's not like we're getting these guys at a major discount, but they would definitely be playable options if Giannis sat. I don't think there'd be any priorities, though, coming from Milwaukee. So, right now, don't love much on the Bucks, but if Giannis plays, I like him quite a bit. If he's out, you could look to those other 4 guys. But again, where they're priced at, none of them really look like priority plays today. So that'll do it for that game, guys, and that'll do it for this 7-game Monday night slate. Again, guys, hope you guys had a good weekend. I know I didn't make any videos over the weekend, but we're back for Monday slate. Hopefully, we can make some money tonight, guys. I appreciate you watching this video, as always. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below. If you did enjoy, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't checked out PrizePicks yet, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks. You can use my promo code NOAH. When you sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Give them a try if you have not yet. Take a look at some of the player props they have for Monday's game. See if there's anything that stands out to you. But yeah, definitely give PrizePicks a try if you guys have not yet. But that'll do it for this slate, guys, for this Monday slate. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it did help, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.